And good morning, everybody. Welcome. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, how are you this morning?
I am well, Eric. You, I trust, is the same?
I am doing well. I think all of Broncos country is doing really well following another Chiefs loss, something that we don't say very often. Another Chiefs loss. We will get to that momentarily. But first, want to tell you about Roller Auction, the leader in Colorado auctions for over 45 years. Tomorrow, there's a government fleet vehicles and equipment auction featuring SUVs, sedans, pickups, utility trucks, vans, trailers, and more. Online bidding has started at rollerauction.com. Don't forget to go to rollerauction.com to learn about upcoming auctions at rollerauction.com. Get what you want at the price you want today at Roller Auction. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Smokin' Dave's Barbecue. It is not just the best barbecue in town, it is one of the best restaurants in town. You can find Smokin' Dave's Barbecue off 36th and Pecos.
Just for the 17th time this season, a game was decided with a go-ahead score with under 1 minute to play. That includes last night. Jaguars beat the Chiefs. Thrilling Monday night game, 31-28. The Jaguars at one point were down 14-0. You talk about the Broncos having a signature win against the Eagles. I think the Jaguars might have had one of the top 5 wins in franchise history last night. Next 4 games for the Chiefs: Lions, Raiders, Commanders, Bills, Broncos, Jets, Giants, Cowboys, and Texans. How do you feel about the Broncos now winning the division, especially when you look at the Chiefs' upcoming schedule and all of the key injuries to the Chargers, which are lengthy, and we will get to that momentarily.
Well, I know you can't win the division in week 6 but to your point, they have a very good opportunity to kind of forge ahead and create some space.
Yeah.
So, yes, I mean, they've gotten themselves back, did it over a 6-day stretch in a difficult situation, and were able to win 2 games basically in 6 days to get back to 3-2. And I would think that one would make the argument right now that just based on where they are, what the schedule looks like, health of team, lack of health of other teams, that right now they have the best opportunity to make some hay. So it becomes incumbent upon them to continue to win some games. Eric, I mean, they'll be favored, in the next 6 games, 5 games, 6 games, pretty clearly are going to be favored. So, they've got a good opportunity right now, and you expect them to continue to improve. And if they continue to improve, they're going to continue to win.
What has been the narrative for the Broncos dating back to last season? Can't beat teams with winning records and losing 1-score games. The Chiefs have had a more difficult schedule than the Broncos. However, last year they were 10-0 in 1-score games. That certainly led them to the Super Bowl. This season, they are 0-3.
Right.
For years, we have been saying, man, can the Chiefs be had this year? Can the Chiefs be had this year? Right now, they're looking like a fine team, a good team, but far from a great team.
Yeah, a team that you still have to account for, but a team that you probably don't fear. I mean, I don't know how many teams there are in this league that you really fear, frankly. But be that as it may, no, I don't think it's unfair to say that the Chiefs they're a little off-brand right now. Now they're going to get Rashee Rice back from suspension.
Well, until he does something again.
Well, I mean, I hear you. And Worthy is having problems staying healthy. Boy, he's a good football player. But anyway, and I don't think they're quite as good defensively, frankly. I mean, they're not. Chris Jones was good last night, but he is not quite as dominant as we've seen Chris Jones be. I think that they can be had on the back end a little bit more. But I think that they're still a very capable football team, and I think you've got to play well to beat them.
Here's a phrase that has been used too many times to count over the last 2, 3, 4, 7 years. Charger's going to Charger. Has 2 meanings. Number one, they're going to find a way to lose a close game late. Number two, they always seem to get injured.
Yeah.
And the injuries always seem to happen to key players. With that, right now, the Chargers are charging in that second category. Another major injury now. Amari Hampton has been placed on injured reserve. He's going to miss at least 4 weeks. The other guy in the backfield, Najee Harris, he's out for the season. Khalil Mack, he is on the IR with an elbow injury. Tackle Joe Alt, terrific tackle, out with a high ankle sprain. Rashawn Slater, one of the best tackles in the game, he's out for the season. How much of it all does this now change your view of who is going to win the AFC West, especially when you couple it with what we just talked about with the Chiefs?
Don't know if I can forecast it out to January, but I maintain that the Broncos are in a good position right now. And they're in. I will say this: they're in a better position than the Chargers, and they're in a better position than the Chiefs. And that's saying that even with a loss to the Chargers already. So technically, they're tied for the division lead just 5 weeks in, but they have a loss in hand to the Chargers. But I think I'd rather be the Broncos right now.
Missed opportunities have been used a lot when talking about the Broncos, specifically this year. Missed opportunities in games lead to missed opportunities in the standings. Could you imagine had they found a way to win that Colts game, which they should have, if they wound up winning the game against the Chargers, which they should have? I'm not going to play they should be 5-0, but how important was that Eagles win to move them to 3-2, looking at the Chiefs right now and looking at the Chargers, where if they don't win that game, they're 2-3. And they're still in a good position when you look at their schedule. Chargers still have injuries to deal with.
Yeah.
The Chiefs still have to deal with their own things. But at least now they are on the right side of 500 with a favorable schedule coming up.
Yeah, no question about it. And they've got 5 games in the division left to prove it all. So it's good to be in the position that they're in right now, where they have relatively good health, certainly compared to the Chargers, they have very good health.
Yep.
And they have I think you can make an arguably a better road than what the Chiefs have, at least in the short term. Things tend to even out as it relates to the schedule. But anyway, I think that the Broncos probably are feeling pretty good right now. And to be 3-2 right now after a 1-2 start, and the way that they and the way that they lost those 2 games, and you never know how dominoes fall. You never know how important the pain and the lessons learned of losing those games in Indy and LA had to do with the way that they played late in Philadelphia. It's difficult to connect those dots. But anyway, at the very least, I mean, yeah, I guess you could say, well, they could be 5-0, but they sure as hell could be 4-1 right now, and no one would be blushing, right? You'd look at the Broncos and think, this is a 4-1 football team. This is a team that has to be dealt with in the AFC West, maybe the AFC, because as you look around the AFC right now, it's kind of, I'm not going to say falling into place for the Broncos.
It is. No. It is falling into place.
But I mean,
for the Broncos. Why?
I mean,
Baltimore's
1-4 and are brutal defensively. The Bills just got beat by the surprising, by the way, Patriots. And while we're kind of, reveling in the Broncos win in Philly, and that was a big one, no question about it, maybe the biggest win for a team in their position in the NFL this year. But hey, the Patriots going to Buffalo and winning up there on Sunday night, that's a pretty damn good win for them as well to get to 3-2. So, but you look around the AFC right now, Eric, why not the Broncos, right?
Well, you left out another team as well.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at the Chiefs, under 500. They were expected to make the playoffs.
Right.
Baltimore expected to make the playoffs. They look like they are in trouble without Lamar Jackson. What was supposed to be the best division in the AFC? The one with the Steelers, Bengals, Browns, and Ravens.
Yeah.
Bengals are cooked,
Yep.
right? The Baltimore is in big trouble. The Browns are the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
And the Aaron Rodgers-led Steelers are probably the best team
Yeah.
in that division right now.
Right.
Then let's go up to the AFC East. Your point with the Bills right now, they look like they will be certainly more than fine. AFC West, injuries to the Chargers. Chiefs don't look like Super Bowl champs, at least as of right now, right?
Right.
And then you go to the other division, and you have a team that just beat the Chiefs. They have one loss on their record.
Right.
And the playoffs could look completely different than what many had predicted before the start of the season. Who honestly would have said, hey, the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the Bengals will not.
Yeah.
And the Ravens likely will not.
Well, and
the Chiefs might not.
And they may not, and the Jacksonville Jaguars might actually be hosting a game. I mean, so yeah, it could look a lot different, which it makes it all the better for the Broncos to be in this situation. And, I mean, they pay attention to what's going on around the league. They follow these games. They know what's happening. I think if they just continue to take care of their business, and they certainly took care of their business last weekend in pretty impressive fashion. I think that they've got, I mean, you see them beating the Jets, you see them beating the Giants, you see them, I think, beating the Cowboys. I think you see them. I don't think you put that one just in the win column. You see them going to Houston and having a very good chance to win. You see them coming back, being able to beat the Raiders. In fact, if you pushed me on those 5 games, I'll be in a future situation, I would like the Broncos' chances in every single one of them if they were going to play those teams this weekend. They are playing the Jets.
Which was the biggest upset of this past weekend of NFL football? The Broncos beating the Eagles, the Patriots beating the Bills, or the Jaguars beating the Chiefs?
What was
the most impressive win of all of them? And what was the biggest upset of all of them?
I think the Patriots winning in Buffalo was the biggest upset. I mean, just from a standpoint of what the line was, and
which was the most impressive.
I think the way the Broncos beat the Eagles in the fourth quarter, to me, was extremely impressive.
Well, I think the Jaguars would say, hold my beer, considering they were down 14-0. The Chiefs take the lead late in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. Then you have Trevor Lawrence throw a perfect bucket pass right into his wide receiver. Yeah, then has a complete brain fade, and they get a delay of game. Then he falls down and then scores a touchdown.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to kind of side with the Jags, all due respect to the Broncos, even though you can make a strong case for both.
Yeah. Yeah, I would respectfully disagree, but that's fair. I mean, it's no bigger win and result for the Broncos than it is for the Jaguars. In their own ways, those are very meaningful games for teams that are trying to get themselves into that next level of respect, of playoff, forecasting for the playoffs and things of that nature. I mean, they're waking up in Jacksonville today feeling pretty damn good, just as Denver did on yesterday morning.
I'll give you a little pushback on that, but just a little bit. For the Broncos win over the Eagles, it was the biggest win in the Sean Payton era. For the Jaguars, it was a top 5 win in franchise history.
Okay.
I mean, now granted, the Broncos have a longer, more storied history.
Right.
But at the end of the day, when the Jaguars went into this game, this was their litmus test. How good is this team really? Who have they really beaten so far? They had a big win in their previous game, and I get that. There's not a lot of unknown about the Broncos. because they made the playoffs last year. You know, Bo Nix is trending upwards. You know how great that defense is. But I think for a lot of people around the NFL, they looked at Jacksonville and said, is this team really for real? I don't think many people looked at the Broncos and said, is this team really for real? Heck, they won 10 games last year, made the playoffs. Jacksonville has come out of nowhere.
Yeah. All right. So we're talking degrees of win. That's fine. There are big wins for both teams.
No question. With that, the Broncos are dealing with another injury of their own. Ben Powers had surgery to repair a torn bicep, expected to be out for at least 8 to 10 weeks. Broncos offensive line has had great fortune of being together for the most part since the start of last season. No major injuries. How do you think this affects the offense?
Well, and even more important than that is that they basically have their returning too deep too. I mean, you had your returning 5 starters. You basically had 5 guys that had been in the system as your backup. So you can put Pert and you can put Palczewski in places, and their versatility is their strength. You hate an injury to a guy like Ben Powers. He's playing good football. I mean, that offensive line is playing good football, but you are built to be deep and versatile in your offensive line. And I think that they have guys that can cover, and they have guys that are versatile, that can play on the right side, the left side, that can play tackle and can play guard. And at this point, I think they'll be just fine. I really do. This is the way that Sean Payton has built his football team, and he's done it from the offensive and defensive lines out, and it's a great way to build a football team.
Generally speaking, I think that your team is as good as its depth because injuries are going to happen. I think most reasonable people, if asked, who are the top offensive linemen on the Broncos, they would start with either Miners or Bowles. It'd be one of those two. Then you're going to probably throw in McGlinchey.
Sure.
And then by default, Powers comes next because we're certainly not going to say Wattenberg, all due respect to him. But let's not overlook the fact that Ben Powers has been the best guard in the entire NFL when it comes to giving up quarterback pressures. But let's see what happens with Palczewski or whoever else they put in. And honestly, there's a chance that Ben Powers has screwed Palczewski because the new cult hero in Denver now will not get his own ovation when he marches into the game.
There were cheers for him when the announcement was being made in Philadelphia, and the announcement, and I chuckled the first time that I heard it because it was a grandiose. 63 has reported as an eligible receiver. 63 is an eligible receiver, and I was like, and there were assorted Broncos fans that were cheering it. Let me just have 10 seconds for this observation.
You have as much time as you want, Bruce.
My goodness, Broncos country really travels. I mean, I'm on a full plane of Broncos fans coming out of Denver on the way to Philadelphia, full one coming back that night. There's orange all over the crowd in Philadelphia. Now, not like it is when you're in LA or, I mean, obviously, I mean, you're in Philly. You don't get Phillies or Eagles tickets. That's just not kind of how it works. But there was plenty of representation for the Denver Broncos, and it's just, it never ceases to amaze me that the way that this fan base travels. It's very impressive.
I'm going to give you another way to look at this.
Sure.
Let's look at two of the top traveling fan bases in the NFL. Green Bay.
Yep.
And Pittsburgh.
Right.
Now, do you want to put the Broncos in there? I'm going to put, hold on a second. The reason why I'm bringing up those two teams, and it is undeniable those fan bases travel well.
Yeah.
But you know what the backhanded compliment is to them? What the hell else is there to do in Green Bay? What the hell else is there to do in Pittsburgh? In Denver, there's plenty to do.
All right.
You can't use that line, right?
Dallas is
in Green Bay, Bruce. That is the story.
Oh, of course,
1 through 10.
Yeah.
In Pittsburgh, listen, I almost moved to Pittsburgh. I like Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
But Pittsburgh is nowhere close to Denver, Chicago, New York, whatever. It's a nice town. They have their sports. I'm sure that they do other things there. Don't take it as they don't. I'm a fan of Pittsburgh. I'm a Rust Belt guy. I used to live in Buffalo, New York. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in Buffalo as well. What else is there to do in Buffalo, New York? That's why their fans travel. So that's what I think makes it even more impressive for Broncos country, is that there's so many other forms of entertainment that you don't have to hop on a plane and go someplace else.
I would say Dallas is in that mix as well. Buffalo is certainly in that mix. I agree with that one. I'd say the Broncos were top 5. I mean, you know, as terms of their fan base and the way they move around. And when you think about it, they've got an unbelievably good airport. They're in the middle. They're in a huge hub in basically the middle of the country. You can get to the East Coast and the West Coast with virtually the same ease, but they have tremendous passion for the team as well. You're right. Green Bay and Pittsburgh are on different levels. Those are legacy teams that have done it for 100 years, and it's a big deal, and they both travel out well.
Coming up after the break, it is finally hockey night in Denver as the Colorado Avalanche organization finally faces off. They hit the ice, not the pitch, not the field. They hit the ice, and they're going to wind up playing the LA Kings tonight as they make a run for the Stanley Cup. And with this team, I think it is absolutely Stanley Cup or bust, especially when you look at what their roster could look like next season. That's next.
Spice up your next night out at Nola Jane and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a Ford Maverick Tremor truck or over $25,000 in cash the weekend of October 24th. Daily cash drawings are every 45 minutes between 10 a.m. and midnight. Players can earn daily entries with every locked-up jackpot or by redeeming players' points on their players' cards. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, loose slots, phenomenal promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. All their locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook, great hangout bar, great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. They are the sports bar.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corned bake. Man, you gotta try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
And welcome back. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Your family should trust the Ferguson family for all your heating and cooling needs, and you'll see why they have over 165 five-star Google reviews. Make an appointment today at fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Avalanche start the season tonight against the LA Kings. Expectations inside the locker room. This is a Stanley Cup winning team, and I think they are feeling it, knowing what the offseason could look like next season. I know we're jumping ahead, but Natchez, he is going to be a free agent. Sam Girard, he is going to be a free agent. And then after next season, Cale Makar's contract is up. And, oh, by the way, let's just throw in there for fun. McKinnon, Lehkonen, Landeskog, Nichushkin, Taves, all 30 or older.
Yeah. I mean, the time is now. They've been in a window for a while, but I don't think the window's been quite as clean as it is this year. This is a deep, talented roster that has all of the pieces with relatively good experience with one another, particularly their goalkeeping. Their 1-2 punch in the goalkeeping room appears to be as good as I've seen it in the 10 years that I've been here. It looks like Gabe Landeskog is going to open tonight on the first line with McKinnon and Natchez, which I think is going to be great fun to watch that group play. I'm looking forward to seeing what Burns looks like. I think he'll be matched with Girard, which is kind of the long and the short of it. But you know what? We're going to see how the Avs look. I'm just really excited. I'm always excited about the beginning of new seasons for the local teams, but the anticipation this winter and fall right now, obviously, for both the Nuggets and the Avs is just at a fevered pitch. And for very similar reasons, Eric. I think that you don't have to squint very hard to see these guys being very relevant late in the season in their respective leagues. And dare I say, I think that there are two teams that would be viewed upon as favorites in their respective leagues. Maybe the Avs a little bit more than the Nuggets.
No, the Avs are not favored.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
they're top 5, but
yeah.
They are not considered the premier cup contender. They are not.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that the Nuggets are probably considered a premier. I mean, they're in the same conference with the Oklahoma City Thunder. So, but my point is, I think that I would consider both of those teams to be legitimate championship contenders. I would consider both of those teams to be legitimate conference contending types of teams. So I'm really excited with the beginning of this, man. And then you throw in where the Broncos are, and we just talked about where they're lining up and what their forecast could be. It's a pretty good time to be a fan in Denver.
Tell me if I'm weaving a tale in my own head here. But when I look at the Avalanche and listening to them talk, heading into their Stanley Cup winning season, what is happening right now reminds me of that. They seem to be even more focused because they know they have the roster to do it. They are set in goal. Landeskog is healthy. And then Nichushkin so far has, for lack of a better phrase, stayed on the right side of the street.
Yeah, no question.
Then you look at the Nuggets. It reminds me of when they headed into their championship season. They picked up KCP and Bruce Brown. I was bullish on them early. You and I were doing the show together, and I was over the moon. They picked up a pair of D3s. And I'm like, this is exactly what they needed in order to win a title. Then you look at what the Nuggets did during the offseason, and I'm like, this offseason might even be more impressive than what they did in the offseason heading into their championship season. It just feels like that both teams are in that position to both win a title. And that's the feeling I am getting talking to people and reading what is coming out of, in theory, that locker room, or both locker rooms.
I think that there's not even a quiet confidence. I think that there's I think there's an overt confidence that this team, these two teams, can look around and say, okay, we've got this, we've got that, we've got, in both cases, arguably two of the best players in their respective leagues. You have a historically good player in Cale Makar. You've got, a former Hart Trophy winner in Nathan McKinnon. You've got Nikola Jokic, who has been a multiple MVP, but you've got great pieces around them and you've got quality depth. That's a great combination to have. And so it doesn't surprise me that you've got guys saying for the Nuggets, we have everything we need. It's a comfortable admission of we have no one to blame but ourselves if we don't get this thing taken care of. And I think that we're hearing the same thing out of the Avs clubhouse, where, it's a little different because you've got to go 3 lines deep. You got to go 4 lines deep, and so there's a little bit of a different challenge with the roster there. But it seems to me to be extremely deep, extremely talented. Right now, knocking on wood, very healthy, as everyone hopes to be at the start of the season. But I think it's both teams that expect to win and expect to win from jump.
Okay, Avalanche, they haven't dominated the NHL like, say, I don't know, the Atlanta Braves did in the National League. The Braves are best remembered for 2 things. One, having a top 3 of a rotation that might be the best in Major League Baseball history.
Right.
With Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz. That's one thing they're remembered for. The other thing is winning a single championship.
Yep.
And they had plenty of chances to win World Series titles. If the Avs don't win another title with McKinnon and Makar, who are essentially Maddox and Glavine,
yeah,
right? Will their tenures be considered a disappointment like it has been in Atlanta?
I mean, what the Braves win, like 11 straight division titles or something like that. And, I don't know. That's an absolutely fair question. I guess there would be, on the broad scope of things, when you look at it, there would be some disappointment about not being able to get back. But
you have 2 Hall of Famers on the same roster, and arguably, when it's all said and done, a top 3 defenseman of all time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I can see why some would say that. And I think it would be disappointing on some level. You can never take away the one championship they won. That will always be something that is important to not only the Avs, to them, but certainly to this city. So you never take that away from things. But in terms of what could have been, when you look back on things, what could have been, I would say that you would certainly be whimsical about it, right? And say, damn, we had a lot of chances, a lot of opportunities, and they just didn't get it done. Hard to win championships.
Who needs a second title more, Jokic or McKinnon Makar?
Well, Jokic is 3 MVPs. Mm-hmm. I think Makar, by the time he's done, is going to win. How many Norris trophies is he going to win? 6, 7? I don't know, something like that. Maybe more. Who knows?
That's the best defenseman in hockey.
Yes.
Not the best player in hockey.
Right.
With all due, listen, if I had a choice between Makar and McKinnon, it's like picking your favorite children.
Yeah.
I'm taking Makar.
Yeah.
But if I have a choice between Makar and McDavid, I'm taking McDavid.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, I understood. I mean, I don't think that Nikola Jokic, you got to consider the source. Nikola Jokic, I don't think cares what. I think he wants to win. I think he wants to win badly. I think he wants to win championships. Do not misunderstand what I'm saying. I just don't think that it. I think in terms of legacy and when he walks away from the game, I think he'll be just fine with whatever it ends up looking like. He just doesn't seem to be the type of guy that sweats that, right?
Yeah, but listen, this is about fans. This is about national perception. Right. It is about legacy. If you are going to be considered one of the greatest players of all time, top 10, you got to win at least 2 titles. You have to. For Makar and McKinnon, with all due respect to Nathan McKinnon, he will never be considered a top 10 player in NHL history. Ever. Right. Never, right. Ever. Not a knock on him. Cale Makar has a chance to do that, but generally speaking, you're talking about forwards who are top 10 players of all time, right?
Right.
That's one reason why McKinnon's never going to make that list. But Makar might finish as the 3rd best defenseman, maybe behind Bobby or maybe Paul Coffey. Mm-hmm. But then you throw in so many great forwards. I don't know if Makar would ever be top 10. For Jokic, one more title, he cements himself there.
Yeah.
For Makar and McKinnon, they don't cement themselves there.
Right. I don't disagree. I don't know how important that is to Makar and McKinnon. And
they're looking at what's in front of them. They're not. If you're a player looking at legacy at the age of 30, you're focusing on the wrong thing.
Missing the point. Right. I hear you.
Legacy is what other people say about you by looking at your game, by looking at your stats, and by looking at your championships. You have no control over what people are going to say about you and what your legacy should be. I'll just use one guy as an example. Terrell Owens is arguably one of the top 5 wide receivers of all time. Didn't make it into the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. Why? Because he's remembered, unfortunately for him, for something else, being a complete pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So it's what other people say about you is your legacy. You may not care what other people say about you, but the truth is, in this case, when you are being compared to the all-time greats, you're lying if you tell me you don't care.
Okay. Jokic might be the first one that probably wouldn't. I think Nikola Jokic is just such a one-off dude that when he goes, it'll be with no regrets. I think he's just a happy person to be alive and to have his family and his horses and to be good at basketball and to have passion for the game of basketball. But I think that when he goes, I just don't think that he's going to be concerned about what people think about what his career was like.
I'm not referring,
and I know you're not. I know you're not.
I'm saying you're not. For fans in Denver, if neither team wins another title with Jokic, McKinnon, Makar,
yes,
I think it'll feel like Atlanta with the Braves. What could have been? Why didn't we win more?
I would agree with that, because here's what comes with that kind of stuff. All of a sudden, you don't have McKinnon and Makar, and all of a sudden, you don't have Jokic. And by the way, that's all going to start happening about the same time when Jokic and those two, McKinnon and Makar, they're all probably on about a somewhat similar timeline, right? And then all of a sudden, the Nuggets aren't the Nuggets anymore, because you don't have the greatest player in the world. And now you don't have the greatest defenseman in the game. And you don't have one of the top 3 forwards in the game in Nathan McKinnon. And all of a sudden you're a 500 club and you're maybe sneaking into playoffs for a little bit because your franchises are in transition. We haven't had that kind of thing in a while here. Nuggets have not been in transition. Avs have not been in transition. they've been in windows. So, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Well, when you look at both those teams, what do they have in common? Both of them, they built through the draft.
Yeah.
Now, with Jokic, he was a second-round pick, right? When you look at the Avalanche, McKinnon, number 1 overall pick. McCarr, number 4 overall pick. You got to be really bad to be up that high in the draft. So they have built their team through the draft. They're going to have to get really bad to be that high in the draft. And then they're going to have players who are worthy of being the first pick, second pick, third pick, fourth pick. And then they have to hit on the right guy.
Yeah. And by the way, to build their teams, the Avs have gotten rid of a lot of their future draft picks, by the way. And I haven't looked at it lately, but I remember seeing it once thinking, whew, wow, So, and the NHL is different than the NBA. The NHL does depend on draft and development. That's a great draft and development league. The NHL is arguably, Major League Baseball obviously does that too with their minor league system. But the NBA are guys that usually are not necessarily plug and plays, but guys that they're going to be who they are, and they're going to be pros, and that's it. But there's so few of them that come in through the draft.
That's going to do it for us. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Make it the best possible day you can.